Sony's XAV-AX3200 receiver is one of our customers' favorite ways to upgrade to Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in their dash. You get an almost 7-inch touchscreen, great phone integration, fantastic sound, Bluetooth, and lots of tools to make your music sound incredible in your car. And we agree with their assessment because we named the AX3200 the best all-around performer in our Best Touchscreen Stereos of 2024 article on Crutchfield.com. Let's take a look. It starts with the screen. It's big, just under 7 inches diagonally, and uses some physical buttons along the bottom for quick access to the home screen, volume control, skipping tracks, and an option button that performs different functions. The screen looks contrasty with nice colors, and its punchy output is something our customers mention a lot. The touchscreen works well, and even though it's a resistive screen, it feels snappy and responsive in operation. Android Auto and CarPlay both do a good job of sorting the most important functions closer to the driver, within easier reach. And a responsive touchscreen becomes a pretty important thing while you're driving. We think that this is one of the better screens at this price point, and it's easy to see right away why it's such a popular choice. Right behind the screen, you'll see that despite the AX3200 fitting into a standard double DIN opening, it's much smaller and shallower than car stereos used to be, and probably a lot smaller than the one you plan to replace. That's because it only plays digital or streaming music, and there's no need to make room back there for a CD player. That extra room can be a huge benefit when you install the AX3200, because that extra room in your dash makes a great place to stash steering wheel adapters, wiring harnesses, and maybe even a small amplifier. Typical stuff that goes behind a nice stereo like this. The smaller footprint also helps the AX3200 fit into more vehicles. Perhaps the reason why most people choose a receiver like this one is to add the convenience of Android Auto or Apple CarPlay to a vehicle that didn't have it previously. Sometimes that's a car about to be driven by a phone-obsessed teen driver, and minimizing the distractions is the whole idea behind these two protocols. By giving you access to the important apps from your phone and porting them up on the screen and letting you leave your phone tucked away. I mean, we all remember the days of needing adapters and dongles and mounts and wires dangling everywhere just to get your phone up where you can reach it or see your maps while you're driving, right? CarPlay looks great on the AX3200 screen. And since we only had an iPhone available, that's what we'll show you in this video. But you can expect Android Auto to look just as good. Icons are big, text is easy to read, and maps are easy to see. Plus, you'll gain voice control, which adds another layer of convenience and safety. Let's say a text message comes in. You can tap it and have it read it out loud, and then send a reply using voice control, all while having your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road. It's worth noting that CarPlay and Android Auto require a wired connection in the AX3200, which connects to a USB pigtail on the back of the receiver. That might seem inconvenient, but we actually prefer that USB location because it allows for a cleaner installation than a front-mounted USB port. With a rear USB, you can route an extension cable to whatever makes the most sense in your car. The glove box, center console, or wherever your trim allows. And with a wired connection, your phone's always charged when you get out. CarPlay and Android Auto are also very convenient, especially on a big touchscreen like this one. Music, podcasts, whatever you like listening to goes right up on the screen, making it easy to skip tracks or podcast commercials. Put your daily calendar up there to remind you of upcoming commitments. One of our video producers drives an electric car and uses the PlugShare app to find available charging stations. No matter what works for you, it's nice to have it up on a big, bright screen. Sony's got a little trick up its sleeve that lets you see some apps that won't work with CarPlay or Android Auto called Weblink. Weblink lets you use apps like YouTube and Yelp, and it has a cast function to mirror your phone so you can really get just about anything up on the screen. Don't worry, this is not a way to watch videos while you're driving, because Weblink requires that apps like YouTube only work when the parking brake is on. Sound quality is another reason so many people enjoy this stereo. Sony doesn't let them down with the AX3200. It sounds great and should outperform any factory stereo it replaces. It starts with a boost in power, 20 watts RMS or continuous power per channel. That's likely 2 or 3 times the power of your factory system, and a better amplifier means a lot more than just being louder. It energizes all frequencies and delivers better musical detail at the same volume. And with more power on tap, you have a lot more choices for swapping speakers as well. You get some nice tools to dial in your sound too. Extra bass gives you a low-end boost without distorting. The dynamic stage organizer tries to compensate for speakers down in the doors, raising the soundstage to head level. And Sony calls the built-in amp a dynamic reality amp, which refers to its ability to deliver peak power precisely and right when it's needed. You can also do some manual adjustments like setting high and low pass filters for speakers and subs, or diving into the 10-band EQ for fine tuning. You can build a system around the XAV-AX3200 too, with front, rear, and subwoofer preamp outputs available for adding amps and subs. There's a backup camera input, that USB input, and an audio-video mini jack input behind the screen near the preamp outputs. So what's missing from the AX3200? Wireless CarPlay and Android Auto would be nice. You can leave your phone in your pocket or purse, and there are receivers for around the same price or less that can do a wireless connection to your phone. The built-in Bluetooth 3.0 is an older version, and we'd like to see a more up-to-date chip in there, just as a future-proofing thing. However, if you plan to use Android Auto or CarPlay, you won't really use Bluetooth very often. What other similar receivers are worth considering? For $50 more, the Sony XAV-AX3200 gives you high-res music playback and some more sound controls, though it oddly loses Android Auto capability, only working with CarPlay. It also works with the iDataLink Maestro factory interface that lets you keep integrated factory controls, which is needed in some cars. The Boss Audio BE920 WCPA saves you $50 and works with both wired and wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. It has higher current preamp outputs than the AX3200, so it should send a stronger, cleaner signal to any amps and subs you add. It has a 7-inch capacitive screen and a longer warranty too. However, it does lack some of Sony's sound processing magic. Kenwood's DMX40S also gives you high-res music capability and uses a capacitive touchscreen. It also has an insanely sensitive FM radio tuner, so if you like your local radio stations, you should be able to get better reception with the Kenwood. However, even in a crowded field of receivers, the Sony XAV-AX3200 stands out due to the sum of its parts. It's got a nice touchscreen, great smartphone integration, and it makes your music sound miles better than your factory radio. And it's a Sony, a name you trust. It's an excellent choice for bringing an older car into the present. If you have any questions about choosing a car stereo or anything else, reach out to us. We're always happy to help. And thanks for watching.